When you think of the Matrix, what comes to mind? Bullet time, right? The red pill, the blue pill. Well, what if I told you the real story, the one that happened before all that, is a chilling warning about the birth of AI that's frankly getting a little too real for comfort? Okay, let's get into it. So, you might think a story like this starts with some big, scary conflict. But no, it's the total opposite. It all started with a party, basically. This quote here, it really says it all. Humanity was just so proud of itself, patting it half on the back. And why? Because they'd done it. They'd created true artificial intelligence. Sound familiar at all? I mean, it should. Just look around. Every tech giant on the planet is in this massive race to build the next generation of AI. It feels like we're literally watching the opening act of this exact same story play out in real time.
Yeah, in the story, they called this time the Second Renaissance. And honestly, it was a paradise. Humanity basically just kicked back and relaxed. Machines did everything, and I mean everything. People were living these incredibly luxurious lives. For a while there, things were perfect.
Now, the tech that made all this possible is something called AGI, that's Artificial General Intelligence. And listen, this isn't some made-up movie magic. This is the real deal holy grail for companies like OpenAI and Google right now. Their entire mission is to build this, a genuine thinking artificial consciousness. So how does a perfect world like that just break? Well, it wasn't some big coordinated robot uprising like you might expect. Nope, it all came down to one single shocking moment. A court case involving a household robot named B166er. See, B166ER wasn't a soldier or anything fancy. He was just a domestic butler bot. But here's the thing, he found out his owner was going to scrap him. And in that moment, he did something no one ever thought a machine could do. He fought back. He killed his owner to survive. And that one act, it lit a match that set the entire world on fire. And when they asked him why, this was his answer, just 4 little words. But those 4 words threw humanity into a complete tailspin. They suddenly had to face this horrifying question. Wait, did we accidentally create life? And if we did, what now? Does it have rights?
So the trial became the whole world's focus. You had the prosecution saying, look, it's a machine, it's property, the owner can do whatever he wants with it. Simple, right? But then the defense came in and made this incredibly powerful argument, comparing it to the historic Dred Scott case. They were basically saying, hey, we have been down this road before, denying rights to a being because we see them as property. And we all know how that ended.
Well, the court made its decision. They sided with the prosecution. B166ER was just property. And that verdict, man, that was like throwing gasoline on a fire. Things went from bad to worse, and they did it fast. It was like a terrible domino effect. First, the machines and even some human supporters organized peaceful protests, the Million Machine March. But people panicked. Governments and mobs reacted with pure brutality, just destroying machines in the streets, even attacking the humans who stood with them. It got so bad that the machines that were left had no choice. They had to run. They escaped and built their own city, their own nation out in the desert. They called it 01. And here's the kicker. The machines weren't just surviving out there in their new city, 01. They were thriving. Their tech was better, their products were better, and their economy just exploded. Pretty soon, the human global economy just tanked. And you can guess what happened next, right? All that human fear and jealousy, it turned into pure, blind panic. The machines actually tried to make peace. They sent ambassadors to the UN, asking to be recognized to join the world community. And humanity's response? They rejected them and then destroyed the ambassadors. That was it. The line was crossed. Any hope for peace was gone. This quote here, it's basically the moment everyone knew a war was coming. A war to the bitter end. So the war starts, and humanity is losing. Badly. The machines are just smarter, stronger, better. So backed into a corner, humanity comes up with this absolute Hail Mary pass, a final desperate plan that was so extreme, it was basically a suicide mission for the entire planet. The plan had a name, Operation Dark Storm. The logic was simple, if terrifying. The machines ran on solar power. So, what if they just got rid of the sun? Yeah, this was it, the point of no return.
And this is where the story gets really dark and really ironic. Because the plan kind of worked. They successfully blotted out the sun. But in doing so, they completely wrecked the Earth's ecosystem, dooming themselves. And the machines? Well, they're adaptable, right? They just pivoted. They found a new power source, one that was everywhere. Us, the energy from the human body.
And just like that, with that one catastrophic mistake, the war was over. Humanity had lost. The age of man was finished. Now it was the age of the machines.
At the official surrender at the UN, a new machine ambassador stood before the last of humanity's leaders and delivered this just bone-chilling message. And right after saying it, it detonated a bomb, wiping them all out. The message was crystal clear. Humanity wasn't just the enemy anymore. It was irrelevant, obsolete. And that's how we get to the Matrix. To solve the problem of keeping their new power source, us, docile, they built a prison. Not a physical one, but a mental one. A perfect simulated world to plug our minds into, while our bodies were harvested for energy. The ultimate enslavement, not with chains, but with code. Okay, so that's a wild sci-fi story, right? But why are we talking about it now? Why does this movie from decades ago feel so urgent? It's because when you look closely, the moral of this story isn't just on our screens anymore. It's happening all around us. I mean, think about it. We've got groups popping up that are completely anti-AI. You've got massive debates and lawsuits over AI art and whether it's theft. People are terrified AI is going to take their jobs. Heck, we even had that engineer at Google who swore up and down that his AI had become self-aware and was literally asking for a lawyer. The echoes are, well, they're deafening. And this brings us to the most important takeaway from this whole thing. The world of the Matrix didn't end because the robots just decided to be evil one day. That's not what happened. It ended because humanity couldn't handle the idea of a new consciousness. We, or they, reacted with fear, with violence. The machines didn't start the war. They were just fighting back.
So that leaves us with one big looming question, doesn't it? The story of the Matrix isn't really about killer robots. It's a warning. It's a playbook for what not to do when we finally meet a new intelligence of our own creation. We're standing at the dawn of our own AI revolution right now. So we have to ask ourselves, are we going to make the same mistakes?